Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Travis Told You, Monday, November 17th, 2025. My goodness. Might sound a little tired, but that's just because it's Monday. We're doing this a little earlier. I feel the most refreshed since I did a podcast, because honestly, last week was the post Extra Life. And like, you might feel, because I'm not sure if anyone's done it, I'm sure everyone's felt up and stayed up for a day and stuff, but the whole staying up for a day, and then I got a couple naps on the Sunday, and then there was like a Monday where I napped and stuff, but still with the whole week, it takes like a few days to really recruit from that. And even then too, like the Tuesday, I was just gonna sleep like early bedtime again, but then I had to cover for Kirkland. Bastard, he's probably just mad he lost his title, so he wanted me to get back at me for some reason. But it took a little bit. And then yesterday had the twins' birthday. The twins are not officially one until November 20th, which is crazy time. I'll tell you, anyone that is like in your 20s right now, I'd say 25 and under, appreciate the time you got. Not saying like because my last video, I just mean like it's definitely, don't know if it's because of how busy I am with the kids, so much going on, just being older, life just October felt like it was a dream. Didn't even feel like it was here. And the fact that the twins are going to be one in 1 year does not feel like that at all. They feel like feels like not that recently we came home from the hospital and whatnot. So take all the time in, because it goes by super fast. But yeah, yesterday, because we got a yard and a patio, so all the other kids' birthdays at summertime, right? So easy, and we had the pool, so it's like people in the pool, yard, patio, house, great fit. We're yesterday, and we had some extra people too. I can't remember, it was like 23 people or something like that. I feel like because it was twins' first birthday, everyone was making sure they'd make that. Everyone in the house, and like we got like a good, nice house enough with the kitchen and the dining room area and the living room, but still, it is like the beginning of Home Alone when whatever that one Culkin kid like puts his face against someone backs his chair but he's stuck. Like it was like there was too many people. Luckily, could still move. As I said before, I'm not claustrophobic, but the idea of when you can't move, when you're stuck, that's a different phobia. Just awful. But yeah, it was tons of people yesterday for the twins' birthday. It was good. First time they had sugar, they had cupcakes. I'll have to post some videos. It was a good time. But so weekend was pretty good. Very busy weekend though, because just like cleaning the house, preparing for that. Saturday, we did some filming, me, Taylor, and Kyle. So obviously that's something you won't see until 2027. But very successful day. All our shoots went well, locations went well. Kyle had not been in anything. He's never been in one of our movies. We filmed a movie like in 2015. We tried to one of our failed movies. So it's been a while, and I was worried like, okay, like lines, everything like that. He did great. So I'm excited that, like I said, that's a long ways off, but it was great because we have not done any filming since the twins were before born and stuff. So, and we're filming next week again. So it's great. It's a fun time. It's great to be behind the camera doing that stuff, creating. It's especially too when you're watching a great movie, like, damn, I want to be out there doing it. So I'm very excited. And then December, not so much, because December is very busy family wise and stuff and Christmas. But it's been good. And yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today. We got, don't worry, Hunter. I see there. We're talking about Saudi Arabia, maybe buying Warner Brothers and the Man of Steel, or God, Man of Tomorrow rumors. That's not going to be the first time I do that. The Man of Steel tomorrow, flipping everything like that, right? Yes, because Mike Brandon and S-Bubs said we'll talk about some box office. S-Bubs, another win for Justice Smith as the box office star, as the next top movie star. Okay, let's get him in Running Man 2, see how that happens. I don't dislike Justice Smith. I just feel like there's some movies he's been put in, a la Jurassic World, that were, when you play an extremely annoying character, it's tough not for me to get past it, but that's the first thing. So my first thing that jumps up is like, like even Jared Leto, who has multiple meh things, it'll always be Joker that pops up, but it's like, even though like in Blade Runner 2049, he's great. That's a perfect role for him right there. There's other stuff he's great in, right? Like even Dallas Buyers Club, he's good in. I don't think he should win an Oscar, but I still just jumped to Jurassic World with Justice Smith. Talk about some very C-tier rumors about Oscar Isaac, which is kind of the idea, because he was rumored for the Batman before. So lots of DC heavy stuff this week. Me and Dylan doing side quest, talking about the Steam Machine. I'm excited for that. Taylor and Dylan will be doing the newscast tomorrow. They're going to be talking about those Tobey Maguire rumors, some Doomsday rumors, some trailers, etc. And then we got lots of good stuff doing what is it, a Patreon. We got, it's all on the feeds, but we're recording I will rant when we do the review. You fuckers making me watch Minecraft again. I blame most people. I blame Superman Mike, especially, but we'll get there. So we're reviewing Minecraft this week. Patrons, you get that early. The originals episode, that'll be fun, talking about some behind the scenes with the stream, Kirkland's Japan trip, that's phase 3 and up. And then the Patreon producers, you're getting some really early stuff. We're doing commentary tracks for Rise of Skywalker and Scary Movie. Those aren't coming out because there's a schedule that's not coming out to everyone else for 2026. If you're a producer, you're going to be getting that once those episodes are good to go and uploaded, and those are going to be fun. Hopefully, as long as Friday's still going. And then, yeah, GeekVerse episode this week, lots of good stuff, and the gimmick is back. I got to put that on the schedule. Gimmick's going to be back this Sunday, usually regular time, 9, 10 p.m. PST. I got to talk to the boys, I suppose, about maybe starting an hour early. We'll see, because Nutcracker Dance and practicing and whatnot aren't in full swing. But let's get to it. So let's talk about, I guess we'll talk about this the Man of Tomorrow stuff first, because I didn't even put it in here. There's been, I feel like what's happening lately is there's lots of time where there's no news whatsoever, and then it's a day or a couple days and it's just dump. That was the day on the Thursday, Friday. We didn't have any newscasts, whatnot, but just dump of, oh, here's this, even the Monday now. Like, I don't even have Bale and Heat 2 rumors. We'll talk about it another time, but just tons of stuff going on. But so obviously last week, none of this is confirmed, and there's a variation of, right? So the rap, but which I think the rap is like A tier now, and not that, like, I understand that it is kind of a no duh, right? But no one's officially said it about Brainiac being the main villain of Man of Tomorrow, but we kind of assumed that with some hinting things going. But who knows, right? Because people had said that about, oh, I bet with Superman, it's got to be Brainiac, waiting for Brainiac. Brainiac's been waited upon for many years. They're almost in the, because whatever, there's a villain in Superman 3 that's kind of Brainiac, but they changed it. That was supposed to be the original, I think it was the sequel, right? Because people know, I'd have to talk to the vodka stream guys and whatnot. The Man of Steel sequel originally, I think, had Brainiac or somebody else before they did the BVS pivot. And then it's just been talked about a lot, right? Even with the Superman 2025 one, everyone thought it was going to be the case. Oh, and that's what it is. Superman Lives with Nick Cage. It was supposed to be Christopher Walken playing Brainiac. Brainiac's been talked about a bunch, right? I do feel like we're probably in the best era to do it, because in the 80s, we saw what was going to happen then. Who knows? I would have loved to see that Nick Cage Superman, the Tim Burton one, but I don't think we were ready then. I think we were definitely ready for Man of Steel time. Man of Steel's got some great visuals, and I wonder what Zack Snyder, in the chat, people let me know, who do you think in the Snyderverse type of actors, who do you think they would have cast as Brainiac? I don't have time on the spot because we got a lot of topics, but right now, Brainiac supposedly the villain, that came out, and I think it's the reason there's heat to the fire, because it feels like there's been C tier people, but no one of A tier saying Brainiac's the villain, right? And I feel like most of the time the trades really don't do that. That's why, like, the rap is an A tier, but they are in the bottom of the A tier, right? Like, obviously it came from Umberto Gonzalez, who, like, I think has a better track record now, but in the early 2010s was putting out some wild scoops and was wrong about quite a few things, and that's okay. Like, people are wrong about a bunch of stuff, but I think in sense though, like, you rarely see, oh, this film from Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Report, you don't see, oh, this villain is in here, this character is in here. It's usually actor, and they might be playing blank. Like even with Sadie Sink, she could be Jean Grey, could be this, right? So I feel like the rap, because Umberto is a bit more like a fanboy, goes, okay, I got this, we can run with this. That's where I feel like the internet scoopers and the C+ to B+ scoopers, like even like a Grace Randolph said, like, hey, I heard they're auditioning a few of these people, right? Or one person, and the rest were like jokes. My point is that I feel like we rarely see that with the trades saying this is the character. It's usually actor with that. So no one has said that yet. I'm sure we're going to get that. That seems to be the fault nowadays is, internet scooper puts, I guess they're all internet scoopers, right? But like, non-trade scooper puts out a character, and then the trade puts out an actor with the character, so they can say it's exclusive, and then there's this argument of, oh, what's exclusive, what not. But Brainiac to me makes sense. It's a big threat for both Lex and Superman to team up on, and obviously there's gonna be other heroes we're gonna talk about here. Darkseid, that'd be another big one, but Gunn said, hey, we're not going that route right now, so that makes sense. And I feel like Brainiac is a good villain and foil for obviously Superman, but also for Lex as well, because we're gonna see too, like, is he gonna do a full babyface turn? Is he gonna be a tweener? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with him, but it seems to be, that's the case that's happening. I don't know what actors. I don't want to, or there's tons out there. Like, I've been thinking about Matthew Reese lately. Thought that'd be great. Matt Smith would be another great one. But I'll get his name. because the guy who was the villain of Northman is apparently one of the people auditioning. That's just a name that has come out. Klaus Bang? I'm sure I'm butchering it, but he was great. Now, here's the thing, too. The villain of Northman, that's like macho machismo. I am the leader. Like, different villain, but a good enough actor. And I've seen other clips where I go, okay, that'd be someone that would work. And also, if you look at, people can complain or not, or people will complain, but they can be right or not. But with the Superman movie, they released the figures, but no one's like a massive, big blockbuster star, right? The most you could say is Holt, and I would not say he's a blockbuster star. He's a star, but like Corin Sweat, Rachel Brosnahan, all the other people in there, like even with I could say Thor, right? They did that same thing of, okay, Hemsworth and Loki at the time are lower tier actors, like as far as the notoriety, and then we're getting Natalie Portman, we're getting Anthony Hopkins, we're getting actual other big stars to raise it up. While our main star, you pay a little less and you raise them up, right? Where Superman, I think it was like unknown leads, and other than Holt, like a lot of other people like Nathan Fillion, where okay, you know that guy, but Nathan Fillion's never like, he's not the same level of Hopkins or Portman, right? Same as Eddie Gathie, same as like, and even Bradley Cooper, he wasn't advertised. So to me, the names, I kind of said that before even this guy came out, it makes sense. Who would they be going for, right? That to me is like, and that's what you do. That's the perfect amalgamation, is either you go for, yeah, a big star that can get you some box office, which I think is probably few and far in between, or you just go get a guy that's probably reasonably priced, but a great actor, right? Same thing as like Ralph Fiennes, or however you say his name, the guy who played Galactus, same thing. Perfect choice, great actor. I imagine it wasn't a break the budget sort of thing, which that's what they gotta look for, right? And even Superman being an expensive movie, so that makes sense. And then today I'll read the full thing where there's a casting going around for Superman. I'm gonna say that too, for Man of Tomorrow. Let me get it here. Okay, so oh man, Twitter's new like chat, it's just awful. A new female. Let me get this full thing here. A new female hero is being cast for Man of Tomorrow, and this had come out last week, and then more have come out around forward. She's described as being in her late 20s and having an edge to her. There's a height requirement for this character. They're looking for a taller actress. In addition, the character's being described as a warrior and having a strong physique. Excuse me. So right there, tall, strong physique, and the biggest thing, warrior, right? Because I've seen some things like there's other names put out there, like people said like, oh, it's Mercy Graves, like Lex Luthor's, assistant, because she's a bigger lady. But it's like warrior, like to me, warrior is different. You can still be a badass, because I saw like other people, I wrote them down, like Big Barda. That would make sense. Big Barda would make sense, but I don't know those comics as well. I thought that character was kind of tied to the dark side New God stuff, so I just thought you wouldn't go that route. Starfire, that's someone, okay, I could see warrior, but then someone like Black Canary, right? I could see the physical build. I could see also being a crime fighter, but like a warrior, I feel like there's a difference between, like, even Batman. I'm not describing Batman as a warrior per se, vigilante, very skilled fighter, but like, yeah, Maxima, yeah, that's another option I've seen as well. So that's where it's like some would fit, but like Mercy Graves and Black Canary, I don't think of warrior, right? So here's the thing. With Wonder Woman, I'm not for or against it. I don't really care, because as I've said so far, I've enjoyed the DCU, but I'm not on the hook yet. I can't wait to see what happened, right? Like even MCU has had some struggles. I'm still on the hook because like of the previous love, right? And I'm not saying that can't happen with the DCU, but as far as the points for and against, because Wonder Woman in it, sure, makes sense. And that's where it does make sense, right? It's Man of Tomorrow. Even though Supergirl was in there for a little bit, you still, instead of a post-credit, introduced them in the movie. They introduced a lot of heroes. I don't know if every hero is going to be back that was in Superman, but maybe. I would imagine, I could be wrong, but I would think that, even though I still think they could, like, I wonder if that Man of Tomorrow name is gonna make it, right? The same way Supergirl was Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. That's gone. I think it is, right? That's what it was. That's gone. It's just Supergirl. Superman was Superman Legacy, and that's gone. I do wonder if it switches, or if it's Superman Man of Tomorrow, or Lex Luthor Superman. Like that's like a Mandalorian Grogu title, right? But still, I wonder if that happens. But I'm gonna assume, with the building of everything and with how Superman did, that Man of Tomorrow should do better. than Superman 2025, unless it is very heavy Lex. Like if the previews are primarily Lex, I'd have to see it. Then I'm gonna go the other. If it looks like a buddy cop movie, then I'd say it will do better. If it's Superman, yeah, it's not impossible because you could make the same argument, right? Of Man to More. It's like, well, who is the Superman? Is it Lex with his brain, Superman with his kindness and his powers? I don't know, but if it is bigger, that would make sense to introduce there. Big stage, lots of eyes on it. And Gunn has talked about how there is plans for Wonder Woman. There is plans, there's writing a script that they're happy about. It's like Anna Nagara, right? So that would make sense to introduce her there. The points against, but it's tougher, right? Because you could say, well, it's a crowded movie, right? There's lots of characters, but Gunn for the most part, even though I think Superman not being long enough, even though it's pretty much the same length as Guardians, I think Superman was one of his weakest efforts as far as an ensemble piece. But he still specializes in there. He still specializes in getting a bunch of characters together and introducing them and saying, hey, here's X, Y, and Z. Here's a little blurb about them. You fall in love and go. And I feel that's another thing with what could happen with Batman. It's like the Supergirl thing, right? Where hopefully with Supergirl the movie, they're not calling it that, but Supergirl the movie with Amelia Alcock, hopefully that had, to me, with Gillespie, has its own vibe, own feeling, does not feel like Superman-like or Gunn-like, right? They've said, we don't want to do that. We don't want every movie to feel the same. Now, and that's the thing, with the MCU, I, for the most part, like the vibe and what they do. I feel like in the back half now, especially in the saga, they've made, or not the back of the middle half, they made a lot of errors with the MCU formula, right? But the formula, for the most part, it's a recipe. I like the recipe. There's little dashes of different flavors in there. For the most part, I enjoy it, right? Where DCU, so far, that recipe, I'm not enjoying, so I want a harsh, and now I can understand where people are with the MCU. If you don't love that formula, which I always did, but I mean, like, I'm really in the thick of it now. Like, if you don't love that recipe, you're just kind of begging for a new dish, right? And I'm not at that point with DCU yet, but I really want Supergirl to be its own thing and something different. But at the same time, Gunn still put her in Superman, so he got to cast her, right? I'm sure Gillespie maybe had a say, stuff like that, but he wanted to cast because they've said Supergirl is a big pillar, right? Even Zaslav said that Superman, Batman, Supergirl, and Wonder Woman they kind of look as the Mount Rushmore going forward. Who knows if Zaslav, what the guy's talking about one day or the other. But still, if that is the plan, makes sense. And okay, these four pillars that Gunn would want to cast them, right? He cast Supergirl, he cast Superman. If you put Wonder Woman in your movie, that kind of makes sense because maybe there's a little push and pull if the director gets a script like, oh, I really want to do a Wonder Woman movie, and there's like, well, I'd rather cast this person, and Gunn's like, well, I like this person better. Where if Wonder Woman's cast, that already limits the people of, if they don't, let's say that they don't enjoy the person that's cast as Wonder Woman for whatever reason, don't think they're a good choice, they go, you know what, I'm going to pull myself out of that. Like, it eliminates that really quickly. And for Gunn, it makes sense for, like I said, myself, as far as the universe, there are people that are enjoying it, so keep going forward. Cast the person you think is going to mesh well with the two people you cast already, and then also your Batman, because obviously we don't know when that's happening. That movie's still sounding far off. But Gunn has even said in his head he has some names, right? So if there's names in his head, there's certain people that fit the mold for what his Batman could be, right? If you're going it's not this, because he says Batman shouldn't be joking, darky, but let's say you're going for a lighthearted, Bat Fam, like the cartoon that's out now on Amazon Prime, type of actor, you would know, oh, I'm going for this type of Batman / Bruce Wayne. He already knows who he's going for. So same thing, if you want to do like the Diana Batman kind of, love flirtness and whatnot, you would go, okay, I'm casting this actress because I think they could probably mesh well with these sets of actors, right? In their mind, obviously, that might not even happen. It's like Star-Lord, right? He didn't think, I think the story was when, what's his name? When Pratt came in there, he was like, I don't think that's going to be a good fit. And then he did audition and completely changed his mind, right? So to me, this makes sense. Like, if you were to ask me if it's her, like if I'm doing my just complete yes or no, like none of these I would pizza bet on. I would say yes. I would say it makes sense for get her in there. You introduce her, he gets to cast her. Hopefully it's bigger than the last movie or on par at least. You transition into Wonder Woman being 2028. And I know there were some rumors about, like DC was planning. It's funny because in Star Wars 2027, that's planned to like highlight the Star Wars 50th anniversary. There was multiple people that lower tier, but had put out that, DC really in 2027 wants to highlight the Trinity. I don't know if it was a plan or someone was doing it like an anniversary, but something like that, right? Clearly, I don't think a Wonder Woman movie is going to be ready for 2027, but if you got the Batman, boom, that's being highlighted there. Obviously, you got Superman, Man of Tomorrow, there's Superman. You debut Wonder Woman in the DCU there, boom, and then 2028, maybe early 2029, if a Wonder Woman movie is on the way, you've done that groundwork, like the Supergirl one did, right? And even then, that wasn't that much groundwork. She was in there for, I don't know, is her screen time even 2 minutes? Like, I think just a minute or something, right? So, no, to me, it makes sense. And who they cast, who knows? Because if it is someone that's going to be tall, that changes it. That's like, because also depends. Like, do they have to be? What are they defining as tall? Right? Like, actually really tall, or like taller than an average woman, right? Which a lot of Hollywood actresses could be for screen presence. If there are going for someone's size, as I've always said before, Katie O'Brien is my choice. I have agreed with a lot of people that Adria Drona looks like a perfect pick as well, but she's not the biggest person. Obviously, you can get bigger. Not your height. Well, you can, but don't do that. You don't need to get those fucking surgeries that like expand your knees and everything. I just think from size wise, Katie O'Brien's the best choice, and I would love that casting. So we'll see, and if that happens, then we're in for, because let's see, because we're in for, I don't think it's gonna happen December. I really don't, because and there's like a midpoint. I can't remember when it is, but there's like a certain date where December or Hollywood kind of shuts down until the new year, until like the second week of January or the middle of January. So it's like either the next few weeks or like month, we're going to be rocking with some castings, or what I really think is springtime, like, because Superman's supposed to film, I think it's March or April, right? If someone in the chat knows, let me know. Like the Man of Tomorrow. So I think that earlier between that and the Batman, we're going to be on a big run for fun casting, whether it's rumors, like we did with Superman, right? Where it's like, oh, these 5 actors are in the running. So Supermite says, I would love getting more of Wonder Woman extended family this time. Should have said I was taking water. Sorry, audio people. I think if they do that show, if that's still planned, right, the Themyscira plan, I think you'd get that. I think that's one of the more disappointing things with Wonder Woman 2 and what would happen after Zack Snyder's Justice League went that route, that I think everyone's like, oh, it's going to be more of a movie centered on that. I don't know why. I guess I don't. It's just Patty Jenkins wanted to make that movie, right? I feel like we all kind of felt Wonder Woman 2 would lean in more the Themyscira family side, and then it just didn't, especially the way Justice League ended. It feels like, well, the natural progression of the story is her going back, right, and dealing with Hippolyta and all this stuff, and it didn't really, man. There's these 2 hairs that are like popping out for me. Biggest annoyance right now. It's just like, I need like I'd go to a different screen, but I don't want to do that, because then if something goes wrong, I'm not looking at the chat. Hi. But yeah, I would agree with that. I think that'd be the smarter route, to lean more into that medieval, like fantasy, swords and sandals type of thing. Especially, we talked about this last week, Mike. Like, we'll have to see if Odyssey, how it does. But if Odyssey does well, maybe people are in the mood for that, right? So we'll see. Let's see. So then we were talking about the Batman. This is a rumor that came out last week. So 2 people brought this up, both C tier. I'm just talking about because, obviously, I'll talk about anything the Batman, because I love the Batman, and it's because I like theorizing, I like seeing these things, and I love the actor, right? So to take you back to 2021, somewhere in there, I remember this rumor coming up from a few people that Oscar Isaac was circling the Batman part, just that one, because there was him, because there was a few, there was him. And I remember, I think there was like a rumor that Vanessa Kirby and Ana de Armas were up for Catwoman, or at least audition or talk about it. They were in there. And then Mahershala Ali was not supposed to be, but I think Gordon, he could have been Gordon. I can't remember if it was. I don't think they went with Jeffrey Wright. I feel like it was in his camp, and he kind of said, no, like, I'll go this route, right? So there's lots of things that have come up in the past. And there was Scooper, not always right, not always wrong, said that, hey, they passed the first time or couldn't do it, but sounds like maybe that not offers has gone up, but that options there are being talked about, right? And clearly, if Matt Reeves likes you, that's the thing where I'll come back to you, right? Oscar Isaac is the talk, if I didn't say that. And to me, that, oh my God, my hair. To me, that would be, especially like, there's only 2 options there, right? It's either Two-Face or it's either Hush, right? And we don't even know Hush is the villain. I'm very much like wanting to, like, I'm done with that speculation, right? It's kind of like the Spider-Man thing with the plot threads of who's the villain. And I was like, okay, I'm done with these rumors. We've heard so much, so many changes, etc. With Oscar or who Hugo Strange, yeah, he could. Yeah, I guess I was thinking someone older, but you know what? Because Oscar, what is he? He's late. Is he late 40s or early? He's 46. Okay, so I won't say late 40s, mid 40s. And then what was Batista? Batista's mid 40s, right? Or mid 50s, sorry. Yeah, he's 56. So literally 10 years. I was like, you could age him up a little. Like, you're not wrong. Like, here's the thing. We didn't get to do this last time. Next year, if we do I want to, even if I'm not doing this weekly or 2 times a week, I've always wanted to do the NCAA March Madness for actors, right? Because I always talk about actors. Like, I still think, like, and I don't know if I'm going to do a male one, a female one, or both of them, but I still say, like, right now for female, I got Emma Stone as the best actress. I feel like the past 5 years, she is on the cream of the crop, top of her game, right? It's to me gone back and forth between like her and Florence Pugh and Lupita Nyong'o, but I feel like Stone just has the best resume right now, right? For men, I'm kind of all up. Right now, to me, it was Driver for a long time, really, from like 2017 to like a couple of years ago. And I'm not saying he's not, but I just feel like there's been a couple movies that haven't been the greatest. So, like Metropolis or what was that one? Fucking not Metropolis, Megalopolis, like that. And there's another one where it's like, okay, this isn't the greatest choices here, and they, I think, hurt the acting. Same as Fassbender, right? But Oscar Isaac, my idea would be I'm gonna make the brackets, and you guys would vote. Oscar's in that bracket. I'm somebody that because Clay had brought up in the Discord where some people thought like either Oscar was miscast or wasn't a good choice. For me, it's like for Frankenstein, not for the type of version that Guillermo Rowan was in that movie. I thought he was perfect. I really, as I've talked about before, really enjoyed Frankenstein. I'm actually in the middle of rewatching right now. I'm still have really like not any issue. Like I understand that people's other issues, but I don't have those, right? So for me, Oscar is top tier. And that's the thing. If it was Hugo Strange, he would kill that role. Like he is the type of guy that for me, he could play anything. He could play a broomstick, right? For like a wrestling expression there. And he was again a fan cast that I got right for years. I was tooting that horn for Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. He got that. I was so excited, man. What disappointment that was, right? So, and who knows? Like he's in these franchises now where he's for Moon Knight. And we don't know what's happening there. He's talked about Poe. Maybe Star Wars is a mess. So could he come over here? And this is like I'm not gonna say one and done because if he was playing Harvey Dent and it's just Harvey Dent, maybe that's in the third one, right? Maybe it is just a one and done. I feel like, and I feel Matt Reeves is, I don't know, I'd have to ask him. I just feel like if he's looking at Moon Knight season 2 or Matt Reeves the Batman, I feel like there's a clear choice as an actor. I feel like Matt Reeves is just a different level of director than a lot of other people, right? That's not putting anyone down the Moon Knight side. It's just Matt Reeves his craftsmanship is top tier, right? Especially when he's given this amount of time. So I believe it. I believe it could happen. We just need to know who these characters are. Because at least with, I feel like I can't remember with the first Batman movie if we heard there was the Riddler and then we got I feel like that was it, right? I feel like we heard rumors of Riddler and Catwoman and then we got the rumored actors and then the casting. I don't think it was, oh, this actor's being looked at and then here's the characters, which sometimes does happen, right? I was just talking about that. But it's been very quiet. Like, I don't know if I believe Gunn when he says like, oh, only 4 people have read the script or 6 people, but it's been very quiet. There's been nobody, and I guess because casting hasn't happened, and like I said, big trades don't really say, oh, this character's in this. It's kind of a weird thing for a trade to do. But even the internet B tier scoopers there's not been someone that's really put out hey, this is happening, right? I think the most we heard recently was the Robin thing, because it's funny. Years ago, the Robin thing came up and it's come back up. Years ago, the Oscar Isaac thing happened and it came back up. So it could be those ideas of like similar things where because of COVID strike and just time that changed some things, but now they've kind of realigned, right? And same thing with Robin. We don't know what's happening because James Gunn said, oh, the Batman's changed a lot since the script. So if he's Hugo Strange, that'd be great. If he's Harvey Dent, that'd be great. If he's Hush, that'd be great. And that's the thing, like, he's one of those actors where Hugo, Hush, and Harvey, all 3 very different characters, right? Don't share much similarities other than they're after Batman. He could play those all well. Harvey Dent, he could play the very smooth, political, even friendly guy you want to vote for, a guy you could believe in, right? Look at Poe. his Force Awakens screen time is not that much, but he makes Poe one of the most friendly, charismatic motherfuckers in the world. When he's talking to that droid, you love Poe, right? He could play like a psychopathic type of guy, like a Hush, where he could, he's smart and deceptive, but a little vindicative. Like even Frankenstein, he kind of has that, right? Where he's a little off his rocker, because sometimes Hush is a little messed up in the head, and Hugo Strange is just a very docile, sneaky guy that might like seem warm and trusting, depending on the version, right? Because sometimes he's just outright, he's a creep, or it could be warm and trusting, but an evil warm and trusting. So yeah, he could do that, and I would love that. I hope all these happen. He'd be great. Not all these. I don't think he should play them all, but I hope Oscar Isaac is in this movie, right? But again, I just want to know villains and who we're dealing with here. And once we get those options, and again, because once we get that, they're scouting locations, it's going to feel more real, and it's really going to tell us the movie we're going for. I still say the safe money is on Hush and Harvey, because both of those to me feel set up from the first one. We always talked about this. I know people see there's a fucking owl card. There's a Court of Owls. I've said I don't think that's the case. Hush, Thomas Elliott, like his dad is not only in the movie, but plays in a big deal about Martha Wayne and him being killed. Like the whole Thomas Elliott's dad, I can't remember his name, Thomas Elliott's dad being the one that Bruce Wayne goes to Falcone to take out. That's like a full tie together. That ties in Bruce, that ties in the first, like that to me is just like an easy layup of, oh, this naturally makes sense, right? Same thing with the DA. DA dies in the last movie. Boom, Harvey Dent. Court of Owls, and to me, has never made sense. This is Batman that's in here too. Court of Owls to me has always been, this Batman's been around for a while and feels, man, I really fucked up because I've been watching the city forever and I didn't even know these people were around, right? So to me, I've never understood, other than just people want the adaptation, and Matt Reeves is great at adapting dark stuff, right? So we'll see, but I don't think it's that. And then I don't know if there would be a third. So yeah, we'll see and go from there. Another thing we'll see, because it's funny, right? Because and who knows what happens, but Oscar Isaac says this comment about returning to Star Wars and Disney and being like, oh, well, I'd love to do it, but they kind of have to get their stuff together, because the Jimmy Kimmel thing, wasn't a fan of that. Well, Warner Brothers, Saudi Arabia might be being looked at, or they might be looking at getting Warner Brothers, which I talked about before. I think that's just because like not many people talked about it. I think it came out once, but I think I talked about this on Trash Tube before. I didn't rank them because I remember when they put out a ranking for the people buying them. They were not in there, but I brought Saudi a few times because obviously check out the gimmick this weekend. We're going to be reviewing Full Gear. That's our wrestling show. It's me, as Bubs and David. We're going to be doing our draft shakeup, the last shakeup of the year, I think, right? Am I wrong with that, S Bubs? No, I think maybe there's one by Rumble. I don't know. I can't remember, but always a good time. But obviously, Saudi Arabia has not bought WWE, not yet at least. But a couple years ago, or now I don't know when, but at some point they create a partnership with Saudi Arabia. And they had, I remember the first few events, so this is like a small few wrestling things, but this has to do with what could happen here. Because I think they are very likely. They have, the expression like fuck you money, they have own you money. That's the type of money they got, whether it's oil, whether it's other stuff. They have that type of money where it's like, man, this is not good. And they have, obviously, I'm not saying everybody in Saudi Arabia is a bad person. That's always a pitch, right? Where just because some people in a government does certain things, that does not speak of everybody there. Of course, right? But if those people are not the people we're talking about, they're not the ones that would be owning Warner Brothers. Not the person that goes to WWE and pays them this amount of money to do X, Y, and Z, right? So politically, that's a whole different argument. I'm not even going to get into, as far as just, I think this would be the worst option. It would be worse than Paramount, right? Because Paramount, the biggest worry is there's a lot of political worry stuff there, and there's a lot of like, what would happen with Gunn? What would happen with the art, as far as it being, would it get very one-sided, right? Which, if you're on that side, is great. And you can argue there's lots of just other one-side liberal stuff. But the point is, obviously, with Gunn and WB, would certain things be allowed? And who knows, right? But that, I still think, would be a theatrical experience. I still think that would be better than Saudi Arabia, where who knows what would happen? Who knows what you think about if Ellison and company might want to go certain ways politically. That might be even more so with Saudi, right? That might be more so with just certain directors and certain talent. And that's the thing where with the WWE stuff, they would do, and you just don't even know how it would be run, because the very first time they got an event, they gave WWE a list of, here's the wrestlers we would like on the card, right? For this event, there is at least 5, and I could be underplaying it. There is at least 5 wrestlers that were on that list that were dead for many years, not just like recently they forgot, many years, but they just want to give us Yokozuna. And they didn't have Yokozuna, so what do? They find a guy that they were training in this, like their development called NXT. They bring him up just for this one big show in like a multi-man, 30-man match, and he's like a sumo wrestler, and that's the only time you ever saw him. Then he wasn't with the company anymore after that. It could be other reasons, wasn't trained, but still, they brought him up for this big show to like, we don't have Yokozuna, but we have someone similar to Yokozuna or has a similar build and look, and that's where, to me, that's different, where they are, hey, do this for us, and WWE is going to jump, right? But at the end of the day, at least with their weekly programming, other stuff, WWE can still be WWE. There's just odd events where it happens, like, man, this doesn't feel right? Like the odd stuff with the women, right? When the women, they couldn't wrestle there for a while, and then when they did, it was one show off, it was one match off of TV, and now when they do, they all got to wear certain outfits because you can't offend anybody. That's someone's culture. I've completely on a different side of that. There's some stuff where, yeah, it's a long stuff. That's a longer road we'd have to get down to. But to me, very, very iffy situation to be in for WWE, and it would be very iffy for Warner Bros. Because not would it be, they're partnering with them. It would be they own that, and we don't know how that'll go. Maybe it would just be the same as usual. We want to be in the movie business. James Gunn, do your stuff, and that's what I've said with all these purchases. We do not know with Paramount, with Netflix. Maybe Netflix would get them, and they go, we're gonna keep Warner Brothers alive, and that's gonna be full theatrical. And then anytime we want to do something theatrical, we'll just give it to Warner Brothers, right? We don't know. All of us are like, oh, Netflix could be the death of it. It could really be that, right? It could be. You're seeing the Matt Reeves Batman Part 2 live on Netflix this Friday. Oh my God, that sounds awful. And it's non-theaters, right? It could be that. We really don't know any of these because what they could do. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia just brings a lot more, like, honestly with Ellison, I am more of a liberal person. I consider myself leaning liberal because I feel like both with Canada and America, which, like, I don't live there, but I spent many years there. I spent lots of summers just all there. I have lots of American friends, so I'm always into the politics there, and I follow them. And at one point, I planned on living in America, right? My life changed, but like I got more indoctrinated and learning the U.S. politics because, I'm going to live there one day, and I'm very happy I don't. I love you, my American friends, but after everything has changed, I'm very happy with just even a bunch of stuff, right? Not even politically, just like school shootings. I'd be, as somebody that does not roll money and couldn't send their child to a private school, it would scare the fuck out of me to send my kid to school every day, right? So it's stuff like that where I'm not even saying just right or left, but that's where with Aussie, if I'm more liberal, right? And I hear Ellison and that company be like, they want to make more MAGA stuff. They want to make more red state stuff. That's not really going to appeal to me, but at least it's kind of like, well, that's where they go politically and I can watch it. That's just like a political side. And if there's something too political, right? If it's something Batman's landing on the floor being like, you know what hurts Gotham? Immigrants. And you're like, okay, what are we doing here? Then I could choose, you know what? I'm going to stop watching and move forward. We're Saudi, which is still the case, right? But with that, I'm more opposed to, okay, I still can watch stuff that are red state or have a red state point of view and still enjoy it, right? Like, as long as it's done in a certain way, I can, same thing as a lot of people, I think, hated the ending of like, I'm just pulling this up as I feel like something I reviewed on GeekVerse, so you can go back to it. Like with, was it Cheney or Dick or Vice, right? And I feel like the ending of that movie, and I applaud it for when Dick Cheney gets in that camera and he speaks to, and like, you want me to do this, all of you were too weak to do this. I'm not going to say I agree that I want Dick Cheney to do these things, but I thought that was a well done way, and I could see the point of view of the rights. I go, okay, I can get that. There's things in Saudi Arabia that I can't see the point of, and I can never get on the point that, like, see that, right? And even in real life, there's things I'm, more conservative or liberal or non-liberal about. I've always said this before. I'm mostly liberal, but I completely believe in the death penalty. Completely believe in that. So, and then it's remember, then that's the point, right? At least with Paramount, they're still airing South Park, who's been shitting on Trump all season. Trump, JD Vance, 16, and that's where, to me, same thing. These reports a couple weeks ago when it's like, oh, the plan is for Elson to make everything red state and MAGA. That could be just complete bullshit, right? Because there was a rumor with the Taylor Sheridan stuff that they pitched him a show. It was something like it was a 500-year birthday or some anniversary in the States coming up, right? And they pitched like, we want you to make the show, make it very right side, right? Who knows if that's true? But let's say it was true and they only wanted him to do that, and Sheridan says something or he leaks something and someone's like, oh, you know what? We're going to run with this and kind of over exaggerate a bit. And then if Elson says like, that's not what I want to do, because we air fucking South Park. Because if that is the case, that is the counter argument. If you want to be MAGA and completely red state network, you have to, like, South Park's got to go. And I don't even think Trey will say, I think you see where they lie, but I don't think they've ever outright say, hey, this is what we are, right? South Park has to go. It clearly aims targets at one side, right? So that's where there is some hope. With Saudi Arabia, I'm not going to say there is no hope, but I don't think there would be, and they're not going to worry about social media. They're just going to, and even then with money, that's one of these things where that's the one thing I guess it would be covered. That's like on Amazon or Alexa, like even more. So it's like those budgets would be big, and I don't think they'd really worry about a movie bombing. Like, granted, if a movie bombed, they'd say, hey, we're not going to do more of that, but they have so much money. It's not really like a thing. And same thing, are they just going to be like, we really want to see, I know people talked about the Snyderverse stuff. I don't believe any of that, but let's say they were like that, right? Let's say we really want to see Ben Affleck play Batman again. We're going to give both him and Snyder 100 million separately to do it, right? And you would just get that. And that's the thing where it's just like, there's so much stuff in the WWE sphere that did not make sense, like it does now, but did not make sense story-wise, just because there's a couple guys that want to see this match happen or want to see it happen, right? There's a wrestler, and this is what happens with money. His name is Shawn Michaels, right? I was there for his last match. He's arguably, I would say, the greatest wrestler of all time. Debate between him, Ric Flair, and I'd say Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson now. S-Bubs will understand. But those are the three. And for me, it's like you could probably actually make a case for Bryan Danielson now. That's a different conversation. But Shawn Michaels, arguably, to me, is in the top three, and you could make an argument for him, right? He retires in 2012. I was there for a great match. You cry, tribute, all that stuff. Great stuff, right? He goes, and many wrestlers, it's a wrestler trope that John Cena, you can probably see now, he's saying he's going to retire. Many wrestlers say they're going to retire, and they don't. Last a couple months, last year, they come back, whether it's the itch, whether it's the money, whatever. Shawn Michaels did a great job of not doing that. It was years and years where it's like, man, he's actually going to stay true to his word. But then what happened? Saudi Arabia really wanted to see him wrestle. And there was a rumor that he was first like, oh, I don't know. But then once they opened up that checkbook, he was wrestling. And it was arguably one of the worst matches. Oh, yeah, you're right. I suppose 2010. Was it 20? Yeah, no, you're right. Because the pipe bomb drops 2011, and that's the same night that he gets into Michael. So yeah, you're right. 2010. So, and he didn't wrestle. S-Bubs can do a quick check, but like he didn't wrestle for at least like another decade, I think. 2021, yeah, maybe, right? Like it just felt like he was one of those wrestlers that was going to keep to his word. But they opened the checkbook, and this match, for many reasons, someone got injured in the middle of it, so that's not their fault. But for many reasons, like the whole guy, his point was, I want to like somewhat retire where I'm near my peak, so my last match is great. Because a lot of wrestlers' last match are not great, but they open up a checkbook, and that's what happens. And that's what I'm saying with Saudi Arabia, where a lot of stuff could just happen for the sake of, hey, we want to see this and the almighty dollar, right? And I'm not going to tell people, like, it's up to you where you want to accept your money, right? We've always said before, too, we don't care if you're left or right, but if you are in a certain way where you hate certain sexual orientations or certain genders, certain races, we don't want your money here at GeekVerse. Go somewhere else, go support somebody else. We don't want that. You can have, but completely listen and vote conservative or vote right, but if there's certain views that are too far on any side, no thank you. And we have no problem, right? Sure. Would it help us? Sure. Could we make this full-time so we don't got to do our day jobs and we could do GeekVerse every day and stuff? Yeah, great. But for me, that's nice. But at the same time, I can't speak to these people that are being offered godly amounts of money that could change not just their lives, but the next generation of their family, right? Like that's where it comes down to a thing. And that's where, before I get to the box office quickly, it comes also down to the way Hollywood is. If Saudi Arabia were to buy them, and I've said this, I don't want to feel like an old man, but it is going to change that way, right? When we just have now Warner Brothers be gone, if we just have like Disney, Sony, Paramount, and Universal, and let's say Warner Brothers goes to Paramount, Universal, like gets full in. We just have big four, and there's other guys, right? Like A24, Neon, that they're smaller, trying to be mid tier, but still the big four. When my kids are my age, Hollywood's gonna be completely different. And I don't think I think there's always gonna be people making great movies, but are those gonna be theatrical? Are those gonna be promoted? I don't know. That's why for me, like, even though it is Netflix, when Frankenstein's coming out, I make sure I have to go see it. Even though it's a long thing and it didn't work for my life, I got to see it. Or even something like Shelby Oaks, right? There's certain times where now, if like Running Man, I didn't see because time, and then I don't know if I'm going to see because reviews, but also I don't feel like it even especially like Edgar Wright, I'm like, I need to see that, right? There's certain movies where I'll try to go out of my way because like I really like to support this because we need these smaller studios, mid-tier studios move around, because I don't think Hollywood, in especially too with AI, because I do believe that that's what's going to happen, is there some big studio is going to put on AI movie, it's going to be big, and then after that we get a bunch of it, right? Like I don't think there's going to be many audience people who knows, but I don't think there's going to be a bunch of people that when they just want to go see a movie to be entertained, they're not gonna be like, oh my god, they're using AI, especially when it's gonna be everywhere, right? It's gonna be, it already is on Facebook. You use Photoshop on your phone. Like my dad likes doing it, but like we've not had a long conversation, but I remember Halloween and he's really into it now, right? And I feel like some people of a different generation are into the AI because it gives them tools that they didn't get to use or perfect at their age. So to me, it's like, oh, look, I can just do this. Where for like a Taylor myself, it's like, well, we did Photoshop, or even myself, it's like I edit same way as like there's people that do AI editors now in their videos. Like, no, I'll never do, I guess I can't say never, right? Because there's could be some things that are baked in now, but like I will avoid that because like I like doing it myself. But we took a photo of the Halloween, or we were at the mall, took a photo, and it was just like there's these. It was a Spider-Man and an Elsa that were taking photos with everybody online, and my dad took a photo. It was him and his wife, and then he clicks the button. And he's like, "Oh, look at this!" And don't get me wrong, there's a tech side that's cool, that where it's a photo in there, but it ends up with them like talking, laughing, and they hug, and it looks like semi-realistic. Looks very good. But for me, it's like, like I don't really I haven't had that longer conversation with him yet at Halloween nor at my twin's birthday. I'm like, AI as a creative, not a fan of X, Y, and Z, right? But for him, it's just like anything else, like a Snapchat filter. It's just like, look at this funny thing, right? So for me, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Have fun with your photos. But with everybody else, that's the thing where once it gets the movie, if they enjoy it, if they like it, they're not going to be like us and take a stand. It's just gonna be something they consume. So I do worry a lot. Like Hollywood is not gonna be the same. And that's where it's like great time for GeekVerse to be making movies, right? But that's where we said it's like I can't remember. Oh, like even Will Ferrell, it was like a couple months ago. I heard this quote and it was a good one where he was talking about him and his dad in this conversation, and his dad sat him down and just said, you got to work really hard and be very lucky to get in this business. So only do it if you're having fun, because there's a very good shot you're not going to make it, right? And, obviously he's been in it, billion-dollar star, all this stuff, right? Do we have those hopes and aspirations? Sure. Would you like me to flip a coin and say, hey, tomorrow when someone sees your movie, you got a big contract and all these things are fun? Absolutely, right? But I'm realistic where we're at the point now where hopefully when we make our movies that the people that our listeners and patrons and other family people, and it can extend to, especially once right now they're in the early stages, right? But once we get more movies flowing and it can be just on YouTube or for purchase, the idea is like, okay, we could build a nice little niche for ourselves. And as long as they could be profitable or even break even, right? But the point is for me, it's like, I have to be realistic and not just think that, okay, cool, we're going to put out a film or short film and the next day it just blows up, happens. That'd be great. That is the dream, of course, right? That's the dream of anybody that is creative. But then it's that quote of, you still got to do it while having fun. And luckily, like even just this weekend, when me and Kyle and Taylor are back in the woods for our project, we're having a great time. And it's fun being creative, doing that stuff. Even when we do the wrestling matches or even like Gauntlet, like that is a form of being creative and stuff. So that's where it goes, okay, as long as we're having fun, that's what I've told myself of, we can have fun and pretty much just break even on these movies, which Adrenochrome did better than we thought. And we appreciate the people that did purchase it. And it's not even full release. We're doing a full more festivals, and then next year will be on VOD and stuff. Like I was surprised by how well it did, right? So, and not every case can be like that, but that's where I feel like a lot of creators, that's where I hope for those mid-tier studios or lower-tier studios, like you can keep going like Shudder and all that stuff, because these bigger ones, the big movies, it's going to change and I think it's going to be pretty dire and pretty kind of sad, and I'm kind of prepared for that. And like old Hollywood is definitely dying and dead, and it's going to be, like I said, we will sound like the old guy, but it's going to be like, man, back in my day, movies were like this and did this, and it is sad to see, but we'll see. Espo says, I've had a conversation with, this is about AI, I've had a conversation with my grandparents so they would stop talking to me about it and how I should be using it for everything. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just, you get it because you don't like, and I'm not saying like, there's some aspects that AI is very bad, right? And it, like, just even like for the AI porn stuff that Taylor Swift was doing, like the suing of, and just like certain things where you can just hear a person's voice, you're like, oh, crazy. And like, I'm not saying, like, there is a aspect to AI that I'm sure could be a tool, right? Like it's in certain avenues, like everything, right? And for me, it's just like you're saying, I suppose, like that stuff, like getting the kick, or people, like, I can't remember, my sister yesterday said something like, oh, I just had ChatGPT, and I didn't look further into it, but like the sound, like the answer she gave me was like, I don't think that's complete, like there's some stuff in there true, but not some stuff. So I don't know, but to the everyday person, especially that doesn't follow anything, right? I know people all the time that sure might vote, but they don't follow political stuff. They don't follow this. They don't follow media. It's all people are in different bubbles and different sections, right? And sometimes, not gonna lie, there's many times I would like to be like that. Times where I just completely check out and I try, right? Like last week, I muted the GeekVerse chat. That was the planning chat because I was podcasting. I muted a bunch of stuff because like I just want to be locked out. And it was nice, but eventually you get back to reality, you get the rotation, everything. But the AI, it's yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I think Saudi, and that's the thing I forgot to mention that I think it's Thursday, November 20th. People got to put in their initial bids, or they have to like come out and say I will be bidding. So soon this week, we're going to find out who's actually serious about this, not the pussyfooting around, because there could be somebody. Netflix could just be in there like, let's hike up the price a little bit. We will find out. I bet Paramount will be there. I bet Saudi will be in there. Netflix is iffy for me, but like I bet any of them could be in there, right? So like that's the thing, we'll find out. And everybody was doing their looking whatnot. Universal, I don't know, because we didn't hear much, and then they're in there. I think all the people are at least are taking a look at it, right? And even if they look at what the ballpark is, what they could go, they go, you know what, I'm actually out. So we'll find out, and hopefully it's not just like Paramount and Saudi. Again, I wish we lived in a world where Warner Brothers had this record year where they just go, you know what, even Zach's like, you know what, we're going to not sell and we're going to figure it out and let's bring back movies. But he doesn't want that. He's trying to flip it, right? So, yeah. So remember, Mike says, my family always send me AI posters and trailers to confirm they are fake or not. And that's right. We've talked about on cast. So I think we even talked about After 9, where that was many times in the aughts and early 2010s. Facebook would get littered with those fake posters and a date. God love her. I have my friend Chelsea from Best Buy. She was going to be in one of our movies me and Kyle were making, then she moved away, but she's a big horror fan. Follows these pages and there would be like New Nightmare Elm Street coming out 2017 as a poster with Robert Englund. And like, she'd say, oh my God. And I have to go, no, that's fake, right? And there's so many people. Same thing. I think yesterday my sister and mom were fooled by like a 2025 Devils Wear Prada poster. I'm like, no. And especially because the teaser came out, right? So they see this fake poster, the teaser comes out, like, oh, it's this year. Let's start planning. I go, no. Avatar's coming out, big movies, Wicked. They just want to attach it to that. It's not coming out till X, Y, and Z, right? People that aren't linked to the stuff are always fooled. And that's fine. That's not a big deal. They're fooled by a movie date. No, but for us, we're like, that's not the thing. So, but yeah, let's pull up the box office. Mike said to talk about it, and I do it on Mondays. I guess I didn't because like what we talked about on the Wednesday is exactly what happened on the weekend, right? So the top weekend box office, Running Man. Yikes. Let's see. So the top 10 was Now You See Me Don't. No, Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Number 1 with 21 million domestic. Running Man was 17 million domestic, and that's like a 110 box office or budget. Pretty big budget. Prayer of Badlands at 13 million. Regretting You at 4. Black Phone at 2.6. Pretty good to see Black Phone still up there in the non spooky season. So Nuremberg at 2.6. Keeper at 2.5. What was the key? I'll finish off. Hang on. Sarah's Oil, 2.3. Chainsaw Man, 1.6. Begonia, 1.6. And then the first Wicked, 1.2 at the 11th slot. So pretty good for a little release there. But what was I going to say? Keeper budget. I imagine it was pretty low, right? I don't know why it keeps trying to take me to 2026. That's twice it's done that. Okay, Keeper movie budget. Let's be more specific. Come on, Google AI. Budget of $6 billion. It should make most of it back 2.5. But again, it's tough because we talked about that before, where there is multiple horror films in October. But to me, I feel like you still just take a gamble and you just release it in October. I think what they're trying to do is, hey, a lot of horror movies came out. There's like a tad little break, and then like, oh, you want to see this? It's counter programming. But I feel like in November, and I guess Black Phone people still watch, but I just feel like mostly in November, just vibes I get. People are ready to move on. It's the fall. They're starting to sprinkle in those Christmas movies or event films. I just don't think it's a good one. And honestly, I don't know what marketing was. I feel like I didn't see much of it. And to be honest, I heard I think it's got a better review now. I've heard some mixed things, but that last trailer, I was linked in. I want to see it. I don't know if I'll get a chance to see it in theater, or I was locked in. I guess LinkedIn works. Who knows? But the point is, I think with like Long Legs, with Nick Cage and the idea of it looked like a Hannibal, Silence of the Lambs with a tad supernatural stuff, right? And I think that last Keeper trailer was good, but the difference is the Long Legs trailer, that first trailer, I think that's the top tier trailer. When that came out, to me, that's a trailer. If you see in the movies, the sound design, the pacing, you're like, fuck, what is this movie? And then Nick Cage being a star helps. Like, this movie doesn't have like any stars, really. Like, I'd say Tatiana Maslany, people wouldn't be able to name her, right? Unfortunately, even though she's a great actress, right? So I feel with that one, that was the first trailer and it kept rolling. With The Keeper, even for me, that last trailer is a great trailer. That's a great trailer for like a horror, like supernatural sicko type of person, right? It's like for weird guys. So you're like, oh, this looks like some weird stuff I'm going to enjoy. Where Long Legs looks like, yeah, of course, had some weird stuff, but it looked more like a streamlined horror. So we'll see. Like Long Legs, I was wondering if it was going to really propel his name. I don't think it really did with Monkey and Keeper, but obviously those are not the same amount. So, but yeah, now you see me. Now you don't make sense. Like that's what I had picking as the winner. It's worldwide 75 million. I think it's a budget like 90. So that's great. They'll probably, as Bubs, they announced that fourth one. I think you'll probably get it because I could see people watching that a couple more times. And then Running Man, kind of like what we said. I think it ended up being below the tracking, right? Let me take a look here because I think we talked about that. I did forget. I thought it was like tracking at 25 million. Let's see, Running Man tracking. Let's see if I can find it now because I'm sure a bunch of the search engines will be like below. So it was tracking 18 to 25 million, and it came in at 17. So and obviously like lots of time these studios they'll undervalue the tracking, right? They'll be like, oh, it's tracking at this to try and make it get higher. So even these like initial things at 17 million, yeah, it's like what we talked about. The Running Man, not like a big IP, even though it's most people listen to retrospective. I don't think, at least Taylor did, maybe all of them didn't know it was a Arnold movie, right? Obviously it's a book, but still remake of that or a new version of that. Didn't know that. Didn't review the Grace, so the word of mouth was there. And then like what we talked about last week, Glenn Powell, not a movie star. A star, not a movie star. That's not his fault. As we said, there's not a lot of movie stars anymore. Tom Cruise, really good speech. He's got his honorary Oscar. He's like the last one you could say that. And even his like tracker is starting to slow down, right? Like Top Gun was massive. And that showed like, man, he's got it. But the last two Mission Impossibles, they still made money, but they weren't to the amount that you would have thought, right? Especially those movies are tough because the budget are so ballooned, right? But yeah, I'm not gonna say it's not his fault, but it's just like, okay, that showed to me, like we talked about. I don't know if there's any more, but we talked about the Qualley, the Sweeney, the Powell, all these people that were kind of coming up the last few years where it was, oh, maybe this is the next crop of stars. That's kind of a myth. Maybe Elordi could be the next one, because I've just seen him everywhere, but like Frankenstein, it's not a test. Wuthering Heights, I think could be big. I could be wrong, but I think Wuthering Heights has a chance to be big. Valentine's Day, I didn't talk about that last trailer. I guess I could on the news, Taylor and Dylan will break it down, but fuck man, that Wuthering Heights trailer, my God, I don't care what people say about Emerald Fennell. I get what people don't like in her. I do think one thing, because I saw, and I love the shot, right? It looks updated, but there's that shot where Laurie's on the horse and it's like the red skies. It's kind of like, looks very much like a tribute. Some people might say like a rip off of like Gone with the Wind. It's just so funny where I feel like if Tarantino came up in the Twitter age, he'd get not the same thing, but a lot of stuff that from, oh, you're just ripping this off. Just, not original. It's like, how much Tarantino would pull from other stuff. And that's where it's like, to me, that's not like a bad thing. It's just show like it's inspiration, and that could maybe inspire another people, or like same thing. I haven't seen Gone with the Wind forever. Maybe I'll rewatch it before Wuthering Heights, right? But to me, that trailer and just the visual alone, I don't know how the story's gonna be. I don't know how the charisma's gonna be. Like even just on paper, Laurie and Robbie feels like it feels different, especially with like, I'm trying to look at Jacob Elordi. How old is he? He's 28. No, she's 28, 30. Margot Robbie, what? Isn't she like 32 or something like that? Because I saw some of that criticism. 35. Because they're playing like childhood friends. But you know what? No, she's fine. It's like, I was wondering if like when I saw those age groups, if there's like the photos, there's a big age gap that doesn't work. But it works because Margot looks great. I'm interested on that chemistry, but the stuff with the red room going on, the ballrooms, the outside, there's that shot where Jacob Elordi is riding the horse and there's like the storm. Hell yeah, that is next to Odyssey. I don't care. Doomsday Spider-Man, that is number 2. I'm spoiling my list for the 2026 preview. Wuthering Heights, I cannot wait. And I agree. Serena Mike says it's definitely going to be her most mainstream movie. Absolutely. Promising Young Woman was a more indie Oscar type of bait, getting that Bridgerton crowd. They are, but at the same time, they don't know what they're in for. Because I think I said this in the Discord. The first trailer was that very memey, lots of just sexual, that type of stuff. Like those videos like S-Bubs you share, like when they're like the big jacked, good looking guys where they're like slapping dough and they're pretty much just like fucking food while they're making it, right? It's looking very erotic. The first trailer was that. The second trailer was more romantic with the erotic stuff sliced in, right? It's like Saltburn where people did get like Saltburn had that thing of obviously crash and burn the box office, but I think it was a win because everybody was talking about when it hit Prime Video. And to me, that was like, oh, have you seen Saltburn? You got to watch. It's fucking nuts. And you wouldn't know why. And you go watch it. It is fucking nuts. And all some people go, oh, it's try hard. It's this. But like for me, I love that Emerald was just doing some weird, crazy sexual stuff in there, right? I think this movie is going to now start to look at as like, oh, an updated version of a classic. Bridgerton. Oh, sorry, my bad. Bridgerton. You're right. Sorry, I read it as Downton Abbey. You're right. No. You're completely right. It is that Bridgerton. I was like, I feel like it's looking like Downton Abbey, but that absolutely right. Now the question is, are people going to pay to see that because it's already at home? Obviously, there's a big study of people this generation, next generation, not liking sex in their movies. So I feel like there's a lot of people that they're fine to watch Bridgerton in the company of their home. They're in the company of their own homes. But do they want to see Margot Robbie getting nailed into the grass with a bunch of other people? I don't know. But I think that's what I was going to say. That last trailer to me was smart to do that. Was smart to make it look more romantic and then hit them with the really raunchy stuff. Because then you get that double dip of it's romantic and then you can tell people, hey, there's some stuff in there. And even if it's like outrageous stuff like Saltburn, right? Like the grave and the bathtub, which I think there will be. And if people don't like that, just don't watch the movies. They're like same thing. Like I don't know if I'm going to, and this is not the same level. I think that people have I don't know if there's any filmmaker I have a disdain for, but like Chloe Zhao, I just don't like her movies. I did not enjoy Eternals that much. I did not enjoy Nomad to me, and I don't think they're poorly made. I don't think they're bad movies. They're just not for me. So when I see the previews for Hammett, I don't know. Like usually I watch every Oscar movie nowadays because I'm just so much more busier. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna I just have time. Like I'm so far behind on whether it's shows. Like I'm looking at Pluribus right now on my screen here, or just even movies from this year. I'm so far behind on stuff, whether it's because of life or just like sometimes if I do side quest video game stuff or with family or the other podcasts or stuff I got to watch for that. It's like, do I really want to watch Hamnet, a movie that I don't think I'm going to enjoy, and just to say that I saw it, which I like to, right? Because for the Oscars, I like to say, hey, this should win Best Picture. And I can say, oh, this should win Best Picture because these 3 to 4 films don't qualify X, Y, and Z. Because you can't, to me, and I'll say that, you can't be that person. You say, oh, it shouldn't win. And then why shouldn't it win? Oh, I didn't see that. It's like, well, then you don't know. Because maybe I could watch Ham and be like, this is amazing. Chloe Zhao, I finally like one. But for me, the stuff that I've seen, I just don't think if I'm going to see it, it's going to be down the line or maybe after it wins, right? Like if it wins Best Picture, right? But that's what I say with Emerald Fennel, especially for people that don't have to do that. If you haven't liked the last, especially Saltburn, this is going to be more of that. So don't watch that. But even story-wise, acting-wise, dialogue, who knows what it's going to be like. Visually, this movie was fucking dripping, looking great. I could not believe it. So, and I think that could be a hit. I think that could be a big hit in February for Elordi. So he could be next one building up. But the point is going back. Running Man, like, he's got some other stuff probably coming out leading, but it just showed that, okay, you can't just, we're still fishing on that age where you just throw a star in there and no matter what, it's a hit. And that sucks. I haven't seen it. I think people I've talked to are mixed, but enjoyed it enough. So we'll see what happens next with both Edgar Wright, with both Glenn Powell. Also, he's got stuff coming out, but yeah, that was your edition of Travis Told You. I'll be back on Wednesday with, I don't know, I will think of an evergreen topic just in case, because obviously the newscast with Taylor and Dylan is on Tuesday, so they'll slurp up some of the news. But yeah, thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you everyone that listened after the fact. I hope everyone has a good rest of the week. Hopefully this is a good kickoff for you, and I promise we'll hear from you next